Today, we are diving into a really important California law, one that could literally save your pet's life and, frankly, save you from some serious trouble. We're talking about Penal Code 597.7. It's all about the very real danger of leaving animals in cars, a situation that can turn tragic in, well, a heartbeat. And this quote, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? The danger here isn't about people being intentionally cruel. It's about not realizing just how quickly a car can turn into a deadly oven for an animal. I mean, we've all been there, right? You're thinking, I'll just be a minute, but that one seemingly harmless thought is exactly where the danger kicks in, and it's the very reason this law is on the books. So let's just tackle this idea head on. We're calling this section the just a minute myth, because that thing that feels like a short, harmless errand can escalate into a life or death situation with absolutely shocking speed. Here's the really crucial point. The law isn't just about how long you're gone. It's about the dangerous conditions that can pop up within that time. A few minutes, that's all it takes for the air inside a car to get dangerously hot and put your pet at serious risk. And here's the science behind it, which is just wow. Research shows that in only 10 minutes, the inside of a car can heat up by 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So think about it. On a nice, pleasant 75-degree day, it's a sweltering 95 degrees inside your car in less time than it takes to grab a gallon of milk. And that's exactly why those common tricks don't really work. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I'll just crack a window, or I'll park in the shade. But studies have shown these things have a tiny, almost insignificant effect on the rising temperature. All they really do is create a false sense of security, which is incredibly dangerous. So, knowing just how real the danger is, how does the law actually handle it? Let's break down the legal framework of California Penal Code 597.7 so we can all understand what it actually says and what it means for you as a pet owner. All right, so here's the legalese. The law makes it flat out illegal to leave an animal in an unattended vehicle under conditions that endanger its health or well-being. So, notice, it's not a complete ban on having your pet in the car, but it is a ban on creating a dangerous situation for them. So, what counts as conditions? Well, the law is pretty specific. And it's not just about heat. It also includes extreme cold, a lack of good ventilation, or not having access to food or water. Basically, any circumstance that could reasonably be expected to lead to suffering, disability, or even death. Now, this is probably the most crucial legal point to get. The prosecutor doesn't have to prove you wanted to hurt your pet. All they have to prove is that the conditions in the vehicle created a risk of harm. It totally shifts the focus from malice to plain old negligence. Okay, so what happens when somebody sees an animal in distress? This next part covers the rules for rescue and, of course, the legal consequences an owner can face if they're found in violation. The million-dollar question. This is the one everyone asks. You're walking through a parking lot, it's hot, and you see a dog panting heavily inside a locked car. Can you do something? Can you break the window? The answer is yes, but, and this is a big but, there are very specific legal steps you absolutely must follow to be protected. So California law gives you a kind of good Samaritan protection, but it's not a free-for-all. To be legally in the clear, a rescuer has to follow these steps precisely. First, you have to confirm the car is locked and the animal is in imminent danger. Second, and this is critical, you have to contact law enforcement or 911 before you do anything else. And finally, after you get the animal out, you have to stay right there on the scene and turn the animal over to the authorities when they arrive. So, what about the consequences for the owner? The law sets up a two-tiered penalty system. It makes a big distinction between a first offense where the animal isn't hurt and a much more serious situation where the animal suffers harm or it's not your first time. Let's look at the actual numbers on this table. For a first violation, if the animal isn't seriously injured, the fine is up to $100 per animal. But look at the jump. If the animal is harmed, or if it's a second offense, the penalties shoot way up to a fine of up to $500, and you could even face up to 6 months in county jail. And believe it or not, it doesn't even stop there with the fines and potential jail time. On top of all the legal penalties, the owner can be on the hook financially for all the costs of the rescue and any vet bills that come from it. Now that we get the risks and we understand the law, let's talk about the most important part of all of this, how to just avoid this situation completely. Let's talk about prevention. At the end of the day, this is the main takeaway. The only foolproof way to prevent a tragedy and to avoid breaking the law is to just make it a personal rule: you never, ever leave your pet unattended in a vehicle. Period. It just removes all the risk, all the guesswork. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're tempted, think about these easy, safe alternatives. Plan ahead a little. Use curbside pickup. It's everywhere now. Bring another person with you who can stay with the pet while the car and the AC are running. Or, the easiest option of all, just leave your pet safe and sound at home. And that brings us right back to where we started. Now that you know the science, you know the law, and you know the devastating potential for tragedy, is that quick errand ever really worth the risk? So next time you think, it's just a minute, I really want you to remember what's at stake.